היו מלאות אהבה, ברוב הימים שבחרו לנו, הייתה איתי והייתי איתה. ברוב השירים שעטפו את החדר, הייתי כולי שערה, ומה שנותר לבסוף מהשבר, ברוב המקרים נותרה שתיקה. ברוב הבריחות ופרצי הזעם, אני זוכר מה שבוע קרה. ברוב הרוחות בסופות הגשם, בסוף היום חזרה חזרה. ברוב השירים עוד זוכר את פניה, נוגעות לא נוגעות ודמעה של שתיקה. ברוב הדמעות השתקפו את החדר, כמו גוזר על חייה למות במיטה. יש ימים שנשארו והם רבים והם שלה, ויש שעות שמלאות כולן בריח שלה. ורוב הזמן הייתה נשארת, וכשלא הייתה בוכה, ואם זה כאן ואם אחרת, אני נשאר שלה. רוב השעות שנשארו היו מלאות אהבה, ברוב הימים שבחרו לנו, הייתה איתי והייתי איתה. ברוב השירים שעטפו את החדר, הייתי כולי שערה, ומה שנותר לבסוף מהשבר, ברוב המקרים נותרה שתיקה. יש ימים שנשארו והם רבים והם שלה, ויש שעות שמלאות.
Welcome, everyone. Start off with a little music to start the bus tour. Well, welcome everyone to this very unique art tour of Israel through Barbara's sketchbooks and paintings. I am Alyssa Russo, president of the Central New Jersey Board of the Jewish National Fund, and we're so glad you could join us. Before we start, I suggest that you set your computer screens to speaker view so you can best enjoy the visual delights of this art tour. At the end, we may have some time for questions or comments, which you can type into the chat section at any time during the tour. You'll also have an opportunity to purchase some paintings if you'd like, and your purchase will go to support JNF's important humanitarian and environmental projects. And now I'm excited to introduce Barbara Israel Bortniker, the artist and our official tour guide for this trip this evening. Hi, Barbara.
Hello. So glad to see everyone here. Hope you had an easy flight and security was a breeze. Well, we have a big crowd, but feel free to stretch out as much as you'd like. Now, buckle up and we are off to Jerusalem, Israel's capital city. Established around 3,000 years ago by King David, it's the heart and soul of the nation. This painting is called Jerusalem from the Mount of Olives.
Barbara, where were you when you painted this?
I took a taxi to the Seven Arches Hotel on the eastern side of Jerusalem and set up my easel on the overlook point. The view was breathtaking. The whole panorama of the old city and the modern city in the distance. Such an awesome, unbelievable sight. Those ancient walls, hundreds of thousands of pious souls buried in the hills. Towards the right, but outside of the frame of the painting, is the Garden of Gethsemane, the Church of All Nations, and the tomb of the Virgin Mary. Towards the bottom of the painting, in the middle, note the small cone-shaped tomb built by a grieving King David for his rebellious son, Absalom.
Why are so many people buried on the Mount of Olives and by the Eastern Gate?
That gate, also known as the Golden Gate or Gate of Mercy, Shar HaRachamim in Hebrew, was the closest access point to the site of the ancient Holy Temple. In Jewish tradition, that's where the Messiah will someday enter. In Christian tradition, that's where Jesus entered the city on his last journey. That gate was sealed up by the Sultan Suleiman in 1541 when Jerusalem was part of the Ottoman Empire ruled from Turkey. and it remains sealed today. That's what you see at the top right-hand corner of the painting screen.
We can see the beautiful plantings on those terraced hills. Jewish National Fund plants trees throughout the land of Israel and is famous for its tremendous environmental work, land conservation, and innovative water technology that benefits many countries, including the US.
Absolutely. On the left side of the painting, we can also see the recent excavations of the southern steps that led to the ancient temple.
I want everyone to know that this gorgeous painting is now a limited edition print, and you can purchase it at the end of this tour. More about that later, and a special gift that's available to people on this tour.
I hear music. Let's go into the old city and see what's going on. Here we are at the Jewish quarter in front of the Horva synagogue.
Why is it called Horva? Doesn't that mean destroyed?
Yes, that's correct. That synagogue was built and destroyed, built again and again destroyed several times over the last few hundred years. In 1948, when the Jordanian army conquered and occupied the old city, they expelled all of the Jewish residents and destroyed the synagogue yet again. Israel recaptured the old city in the 1967 Six-Day War, and the synagogue was finally reconstructed just a couple of years ago.
It looks like people are in costumes in your painting.
Yes, when I began this painting, it was the Jewish holiday of Purim. What a fun time to visit. Joyous, noisy celebrations were everywhere. Young and old were dressed in costumes, partying, giving gifts and treats, and eating lots of triangle-shaped pastries called Oznei Haman in Hebrew, meaning Haman's ears. We might know these pastries as Hamantaschen.
I love Hamantaschen. Can you tell us a bit more about your experience with this painting?
I was initially interested in this site because of its history, of course, and the fact that even in its destroyed state, the remnant of one of the arches was a famous part of Jerusalem's scenery for many years. But when I went there that day, I was very attracted to the delicate, cool colors of the olive tree in front against the warm yellow of that brilliantly lit wall. And as I painted, I was joined by many young people and students from abroad who sat near me and spent time talking all about their studies, Israel, how they loved art, their parents, everything. Wonderful things like that happen all the time when I'm painting on location in Israel. I finished that painting after I returned home, and I painted the people in from photographs that I took that day. The feeling of happiness and excitement stays with me every time I look at that painting.
I really do feel happiness when I look at that painting as well. And that painting is also available as a print for purchase from J&F.
And I should add that all prints are limited edition giclées, hand-signed and numbered by me, the artist, printed on archival museum quality paper and shipped, ready for framing, 24 inches high by 36 inches wide.
And not only is there happiness, and they're absolutely beautiful, but the purchase price is 75% tax deductible as a donation to J&F.
This next painting, Dishes and Domes, I started from a rooftop in the heart of the old city, looking eastward. The city of Jerusalem has been unified east and west together since 1967, over 53 years ago. But between the 1948 and 1967 period, the eastern half of the city was occupied by Jordan.
I love the juxtaposition of the old and the new, including the satellite dishes on everyone's roof. Can you tell us about the Golden Dome?
That's the top of the Dome of the Rock, a Muslim shrine built on top of the ancient Temple Mount. There were two Jewish holy temples on that very site. The first temple built by King Solomon, King David's son, and later destroyed by the Babylonians, and the second temple destroyed during the Roman siege of Jerusalem in the year 70 of the Common Era. The Dome of the Rock was first built around 600 years after that by the Umayyad Caliph Abd Malik, who ruled over Jerusalem from Damascus, Syria. After many changes over the centuries, the gold-plated roof was added in 1961 and renewed in 1993.
There's so much history in this one spot.
And a lot of religion. In front of the Golden Dome, below, But out of sight in this painting is the Kotel, the Western Wall. Looking at the horizon to the left, more to the left, all the way to the left, we see the Hebrew University Tower on Mount Scopus. Moving right on the horizon, we see the bell tower of the Augusta Victoria Hospital, run by the Lutheran World Foundation. Close by are many Jewish, Muslim, and Christian holy sites of every denomination. It's amazing that in Israel, all these people and faiths are virtually on top of each other, yet manage to coexist daily in relative peacefulness.
Considering it's the Middle East, that's an underappreciated miracle in itself.
You said it. Now we're at the Kotel, the Western Wall, the only remaining part of the ancient Holy Temple, and it's the holiest site for the Jewish people. I started to paint this scene early in the morning, sitting on the large steps leading into the plaza area. I had to move all the way to the edge so I wouldn't get trampled as people began filling the plaza area. And as I painted, groups of young soldiers literally walked into my painting, filling up the plaza. Proud families sat in folding chairs to the right. Flags fluttered and stirring military music filled the air. Thus began a day with many swearing-in ceremonies for platoons of soldiers after they had completed basic training. They each received a beret, a Bible, and a rifle. At the end of each ceremony, they all yelled, "Ani nishba, ani nishba, ani nishba." I swear, all in unison. That's what they were saying. They were promised loyalty to their country, their duty, and to their fellow soldiers. Everyone was so emotional, including me.
Did you know that JNF supports the Lone Soldier Project for young soldiers who have no family in the country? JNF provides support, food, a friendly home base, and social life. JNF is so much more than just trees.
I did know that. Okay, now time to get back on the bus. This is a bus tour after all. On to our next stop, Ammunition Hill. This is Ammunition Hill.
I've been there. This is a JNF supported Israel heritage site. It got its name because the British, before 1948, used the site as a weapons and ammunition depot.
It's peaceful now, but it was the site of fierce fighting during the 1967 war, when Jordanian troops were dug into those bunkers that you see on the ground there, heavily armed and shooting down upon the city. The Israelis managed to capture it with many casualties. Today, it's reconstructed as a beautiful park with a multimedia educational center. It serves as a symbol of bravery and sacrifice.
Did you know that JNF built a wall of honor there to honor veterans from around the world who served in their country's military?
I did know that.
People can purchase a plaque to honor the service and sacrifice of their friends or relatives who served. What a great way to celebrate Veterans Day and the veteran in your life.
Wall of Honor. Thank you to our veterans. Here's you, Alyssa, and your daughter, and your husband, Orazio Russo, on the left, when you guys dedicated 2 plaques, one in honor of Orazio's service in the US Air Force, and another for your father's service. On the right is Naomi Vilko, who recently dedicated a plaque in memory of her father, who served in Czechoslovakia's army in the 1920s. Very nice indeed. Okay, we're back on the bus. Now we're driving around the old city, outside the walls that surround it. This is the view from the Mamila Mall, a great place for a coffee break. And now on to the City of David. This area, known as the City of David, is located a short walk outside the southern walls of the old city. It's an amazing and extensive archaeological excavation going back literally to the days of King David and beyond. Recent discoveries have found underground water channels and reservoirs, a pilgrim's road leading directly to the Temple Mount, and tons of other fascinating artifacts from at least 2,600 years ago.
Looking at this picture of City of David really brings me back to when I was there with my kids and we did those water channels. And another feeling of happiness from those paintings. Where to next, Barbara?
Well, now we're leaving Jerusalem, going just a short distance to a small community called Moza. This painting is called Old Moza Synagogue and Seven Species Mosaic.
Another beautiful painting, and this is another one that is for sale through J&F. Please tell us about the seven species.
According to the Bible, the seven species of fruits and grains native to the land of Israel are figs, grapes, barley, wheat, dates, olives, and pomegranates. They're all depicted in this mosaic. This mosaic is actually located on the ground in the courtyard in front of the building, but I thought it was so pretty and meaningful that I superimposed it in front of the building.
Did you finish the entire painting on location in front of the synagogue? How long did it take you?
Well, I start every painting on location, or as artists say, en plein air. And I try to capture as much of the scene, the lighting, the colors, and the feeling of the place in one or two or sometimes more sittings if I have time. I also take many photographs so I can finish the painting after I get home back in my studio. Big detailed paintings can take me a few days to a few weeks to finish, especially this one that had all those little mosaic designs. Of course, I didn't paint each little stone, just enough to convey the sense of the mosaic. Okay, now it's time for another coffee break. Israelis love café hafuch, literally means upside down coffee. We would call it a latte. This place, Beit Yelin, the Yelin House in Moza, was renovated by the Society for the Preservation of Israel Heritage Sites.
The Society for the Preservation of Israel Heritage Sites is a J&F affiliate. Again, J&F is more than just trees. But what is the historical significance of this place?
Well, for the full story, we'll have to visit in person. But archaeologists have found significant cultural artifacts from thousands of years back. And modern Jewish settlement on this site goes back at least 150 years or more. And today there's a wonderful little restaurant in the back. My husband and I enjoyed a great lunch there when we visited last February.
Well, everybody who knows me knows I would order a glass of wine. Can you paint and eat lunch at the same time?
It can be a problem. I have to be careful not to dip my paintbrushes into the coffee cup. All right, now we're getting ready to leave. We're going to leave the center of the country now. We're leaving Jerusalem. We're going to go north on the coastal road up towards the north side of the country. Okay. And this is the north of the country, and we're going to be stopping at Caesarea in Hebrew. This is more than just an old seaport and a great beach. It's loaded with antiquities from the Roman, Crusader, Mameluke, Byzantine, and Ottoman periods, including awesome Roman sculptures and a Roman aqueduct that is largely intact. It's now a national park and quite beautiful with some great restaurants and gift shops. Why don't we listen to a little music for a minute?
שבעים שנה במכונית, אני נוסע ומביט על מה היה ומה נהיה, ואיך נפשי עוד הומייה.
Okay, well, that song is called A Tribe of Brothers and Sisters. Love it. I love it. Okay, next one.
Well, Barbara, that painting brings me back to when I was last time I was at Israel with my whole family. Our last stop was there. And you are absolutely right. It is quite beautiful with some great restaurants and gift shops. That was one of the places we had one of our last meals before heading to the airport. But speaking of gifts, this painting is available as a gorgeous print as well, which would be a great gift for the holidays or for your own home. Purchasing a print is easy, but picking which one of these beautiful paintings to hang in your home is definitely the hard part.
Buy them all. We can solve that problem easily. All right, now we're going into the Jezreel Valley. This is overlooking the Jezreel Valley, Israel's most fertile agricultural area, noted in many biblical texts, and the site of the first agricultural settlements of the pioneers in the earliest days of rebuilding modern Israel. Those early pioneers had to drain the swamps and fight malaria that was rampant in this area just over 100 years ago or so. You see more paintings from that area now. Okay. This next painting I call Cacti and Palm Fronds. Note the beautiful fields in the Jezreel Valley just down below, behind the houses. This was painted in the community of Ramat Ishai, where my dear friends Ada and Moti Alin live. And nearby is this sculpture in Tivon, overlooking the Jezreel Valley. This sculpture is in memory of Alexander Zayed, the original shomer, or guardian. In the early years of the 20th century, he organized the Jewish farmers in the north for self-defense against constant attacks and violence.
I see in this slide you've included the logo for another JNF affiliate, HaShomer HaChadash.
Yes, I particularly admire this group, HaShomer HaChadash, which means the new guardians. They take their inspiration from Alexander Zayed and his call for self-defense, but they have gone beyond that into education of youth in the methods and importance of agriculture and responsible land management. I especially appreciate their programs to encourage volunteerism among young Israelis and foreign visitors, encouraging volunteer service on kibbutz farms, fighting fires and other threats. They really make a priority of making young people feel connected to the land. I visited this agricultural high school in the north, in the community called Keduri, last winter, where HaShomer HaChadash runs a full-time boarding high school program for teenagers, one of several around the country. This past winter was particularly rainy, resulting in those lush green fields that you see, and everyone was delighted. The barns and structures that you see in the foreground are part of the school's agricultural training program that the students are responsible for taking care of. The Carmel Forest is the largest wooded area in Israel, located in the north and providing precious environmental benefits to the country and surrounding regions. JNF has put enormous efforts into planting and maintaining the forest and managing the soil and water resources there over the years. My husband and I first became significant supporters of JNF in 2010, after hearing about the terrible forest fire that burned there for 3 days and 3 nights, destroying over 6,000 acres and killing 44 Israelis who were trying to rescue people. It broke our hearts to hear that those losses could have been largely avoided or minimized had Israel had sufficient firefighting equipment in that area at the time. JNF and its supporters have been working with the government to provide much needed equipment since then, and they still need more help, especially in the areas in the south that are subject to frequent arson attacks coming out of Gaza. But at least, well, I wanted to show you the top of this painting first. Those little black dots, I was perplexed at first what they were when I saw them. Those were burnt pine cones that were clinging to the burnt branches even a year later, making this staccato effect against the sky. But on the bottom of the painting, we can see the new growth, the green shoots that are coming up, emanating from the ashes of the destruction. And I took this as a sign of hope and optimism for the future. That's the beginning of Hatikva, Israel's national anthem. I should mention that this beautiful modern Israel did not come on a silver platter, in the words of an old Israeli poem. There was a terribly high price paid in blood, sweat, and tears by the Jewish people in rebuilding this ancient homeland after almost 2,000 years of exile and neglect. Throughout the country are memorials and monuments such as these. On the right is a memorial for the fighters of the War of Independence of 1948. And on the left, a memorial for the almost 1.5 million children who were murdered in the Holocaust in Europe. While we're on the subject of Israel's history, we are now at Atlit Detention Camp, the site where the British Army put the refugees from Europe who were trying to immigrate to Palestine while it was still under British control before 1948. In fact, throughout World War II and afterwards, until Israel became a state in 1948, Jews were mostly barred from entering Palestine just when they most needed refuge. The British vigorously enforced this restriction in an effort to placate the local Arabs who threatened increased riots.
I love that you're taking us to Atlit, Barbara, and I'm getting to see Atlit through your paintings because it's one of the places I haven't been to yet, and I'm looking forward to getting back to Israel, hopefully next year, and that will definitely be one of the places I plan to go visit. Can you imagine how those refugees felt after surviving the ravages of concentration camps, most of them coming as lone survivors of their families or as orphans, being put in such detention camps?
In the next Zoom.
And of course, you know that this is another Israel heritage site, also supported by JNF. JNF is more than just trees.
I did know that. All right, on to the next painting. Israel's army is very much a citizen army, with most active duty soldiers able to go home on weekends, since Israel is such a small country. On Sunday mornings, the buses and trains are filled with soldiers returning to their bases.
I love that your paintings really have a connection to everything Israel. And seeing this soldier's uniform hanging on the laundry rack, that reminds me of JNF's affiliates, Special in Uniform, and JNF's tremendous work on behalf of people with disabilities. Did you know that many such young people still want to serve their country despite their disabilities in whatever capacity they are able? Special in Uniform helps them do so with special helpers, training, and care.
JNF also funds many other programs for the disabled, including the Red Mountain Therapeutic Riding Academy for people with cerebral palsy and other conditions, LOTEM, which gives disabled people and others recreational and educational programs in nature parks, and Ala Negev, which is a huge rehabilitation and physical therapy treatment center in the South, now in the process of building a significant research facility that will attract and give many benefits to the international community as well. These programs are models for countries around the world, besides giving tremendous pride and comfort to the families and the participants themselves. This painting is called Building in the Galilee. And the next one, Break in the Clouds. These paintings are a great example. Oh, I'm taking your spot. A great example of the JNF Housing Fund at work, helping to fund infrastructure and provide help with mortgages for young families moving to the north and the south.
Yes, your paintings, Barbara, clearly have a connection in every way to JNF and to all of us, I'm sure to everybody on our bus today.
Now we're going to be back on the bus, speaking of buses, and we are traveling on the old Nazareth to Haifa Road, which is now, of course, a major highway. This old khan, or inn, built during the Ottoman Turkish period before World War I, when the Turks and Ottomans controlled the land of Israel, it originally functioned as an inn for travelers. When I painted it 2 years ago, it was being used as a poultry processing plant. But the last time I visited, however, it was empty. I guess the chickens flew the coop. This Israel Heritage Site is a 12th century Crusader fortress used by the British as a prison during the British Mandate period before Israeli independence in 1948. It's in the city of Akko, a very popular tourist site with its mixed population of Arabs and Jews. It's well known for its restaurants, historic port, the shuk, and the very good relations amongst the different groups in the population. All right, we're back on the road again, going south. Are you hungry? I think it's time to stop for lunch. Okay, we're at a moshav. I call this painting Silos and Pink Post Office. You know, agriculture and the kibbutz and moshav movements are still an essential part of the Israeli economy and culture. Although in recent years, of course, high tech and the biosciences have taken a very leading role. Let's relax and enjoy our lunch while we listen to a little kibbutz music. All right, I think it's time to get back on the road. We're gonna go south now. We're gonna go all the way down to the Negev Desert. And we are going to be passing the Dead Sea, and we're coming around, and no visit to Israel is complete without a visit to Masada in the Negev Desert. We skip the climb up the mountain at dawn, and we are at the top of that ancient hilltop fortress. About 2,000 years ago, Jewish defenders held out against the siege of the Roman legion for several months before they succumbed to hunger, and all was laid to waste. Today on Masada, in addition to archaeologists and tourists, a Torah scribe works diligently every day to pass on the Jewish faith, shielded from the desert sun under a small tent.
Through JNF's program called Be Inscribed, each of us can now participate in the mitzvah of writing a Torah by dedicating a single letter or a word of a Torah being written right now, even as
we speak. Well, I don't know about that. It's the middle of the night in Israel right now, maybe in a few hours.
So I haven't, again, one of the JNF projects I have not seen in person. I have not been to Masada since this Torah scribe has been up there, but I have been honored to receive a certificate acknowledging a letter made in my honor. And you or anyone you wish to honor will receive a beautiful large certificate acknowledging a letter or word that is written in the Torah on your behalf.
Wonderful. Well, you know, there's all sorts of archaeological excavations going on all around Masada, and they discover new things every day. When I was there last, these archaeologists were working in King Herod's garden, and they also were finding remnants from the later Byzantine period. Everywhere you go, they're discovering new things every single day, all around Israel. All right, we're climbing down the mountain now, getting back on the road, going south. You know, it's an unavoidable fact of life in Israel that besides the beauty and the amazing energy of the country, the necessity of defense in case of attack is also a reality. In the south, along Israel's border with Gaza, this is especially the case. This painting was done at my friend's house. I call it Lemon Tree for obvious reasons, although people think that those green little orbs are limes. They're not, they're just unripe lemons. But you can see on the second floor there, that metal window, which can be drawn closed and locked. That room serves as a bomb shelter and a gas-proof safe room for one unit. It's an attached house, multifamily. And the other unit's safe room is located underneath, behind that ground floor door. So there's always the mixture of the bitter and the sweet in Jewish history in general, and certainly in Israel. Now, we are in the south now, the lovely community of Sderot. It's a close-knit community, many young families. People say that it's 99% heaven and 1% hell. Why do they say 1% hell? It happens to be located very close, within sight actually, of the border with Gaza. And unfortunately, during the last few years with Hamas in control of Gaza, Sderot has been the target of frequent rocket attacks from Gaza, specifically aimed at civilians. With just 9 to 15 seconds from the sounding of the alarm till the moment of impact, families must often stay close to home and in their bomb shelters.
The children were growing up afraid to go outside and couldn't play normally. But JNF has helped relieve this difficult situation for children and families, building resilient centers for therapy and emotional support. And with the now famous JNF Playground, the Sderot Indoor Playground, for kids of all ages and everyone in the community, young to old. Bomb shelters are pleasantly designed as classrooms on each corner close to the play areas.
You can play some music. Oh, this is one of my favorites. This is Avishai Cohen, great jazz musician. I'm playing music now because recently a music room was added in one of the bomb-sheltered corners of the playground by a group of generous American families through Jewish National Fund. Now, kids can receive music lessons and play in bands while they are safely in the playground shelter area. The other 3 bombshell protected corners of the playground contain a soccer field, a disco, and a dance studio.
So this is one of the rooms I did get to see on my last trip to Israel. And I just want to note that I am loving the music playing on our tour. But what a great idea to turn trauma into something positive with music, sports, and dance studios. Like I said, and we'll keep saying, JNF is so much more than just trees.
All right, back on the bus. Now we're on to Tel Aviv. Enjoy some time on the beach and last-minute shopping. All right, Omer Adam, one of the current stars of the Israeli music scene. Tel Aviv, Yo Habibi, Tel Aviv. All right, we're going to our hotel now. Maybe we have a little time for a dip in that pool. And then it's gonna be time to pack up and we're gonna have to get ready to go home. Every tour has to come to an end soon.
And who doesn't like the beach? But wow, what an amazing tour of Israel. Thank you to everyone for coming on the tour, but maybe we have time to meet and grab a drink at the bar. Make minds stirred, never shaken. But on a serious note, thank you, Barbara, for that beautifully illustrated tour through Israel. As we were all able to see tonight, Barbara sketches and draws everywhere she goes. Her ability to bring her travel to life through art is a gift, and we are all so thankful that you have shared it with us by creating this art tour for us to all join in tonight. If you'd like to ask Barbara or any of us any questions, just type it in the chat section now, and we'll have some time for Q&A after some announcements. For the announcements, I'm excited to introduce Celine Leeds, the director of the Central New Jersey JNF. Take it over, Celine.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Barbara. That was truly a remarkable tour of Israel and all your talents. I've always admired your work as a JNF leader and an artist, and now I can say we have all truly gained a greater insight to your artistic abilities, as well as the critical work of the Jewish National Fund. I want to also thank Alyssa Russo for helping us moderate the tour today. We hope that you enjoyed learning about the work of the Jewish National Fund, and we ask you to consider joining us in supporting the land and people of Israel. Your gift of any amount is greatly appreciated. Please keep in mind if something was especially meaningful to you or moved you during this program, we can designate your funds to these JNF projects, and we encourage you to get involved. Please feel free to contact me directly with any questions or to find out more about JNF's many projects and programs in Israel, as well as here in the US. During the tour, We saw 4 of Barbara's paintings that have now been produced as giclée prints on archival museum quality paper, hand signed and numbered by the artist and available exclusively through the Jewish National Fund. 75% of the purchase price of each of these paintings is a tax-deductible donation to the JNF. And for participants in tonight's tour who purchase any of these paintings, these prints, you will receive a special gift, a selection of Barbara's paintings reproduced as fine art note cards and envelopes. Click on the link in the chat box to be directed to the JNF online store or contact me directly. Lastly, we have some exciting virtual events coming up, including our Breakfast for Israel on Giving Tuesday, December 1st, featuring Phil Rosenthal, the original creator of the hit sitcom Everybody Loves Raymond, and star of his own show on Netflix called Somebody Feed Phil. We will be sending an email with details about the artwork and all these upcoming events, so please be on the lookout for this message. I hope you will stay in touch. And now I would like to take it back to Alyssa Russo for any questions and answers through the chat or some that we received prior to the event tonight.
Well, one question that we had prior that I want to put out there for Barbara to share with us on our bus is, Barbara, can you tell us a little about your training and education, and when did you start painting? Is Barbara?
We're coming.
All right. Can you see me now? Oh, thank you. So,
Celine, we hear the echo. Can we
yeah,
take
let's
the
just
echo off of the...
just turn it off. Okay. When did I start painting? I would say that my high school teacher, B. Card Kettlewood, wonderful, wonderful artist, and I'm still friends with her. She started me in painting, although I was drawing since my earliest memory. I always loved art and took every opportunity to be drawing on everything. In fact, while I was a lawyer, I drew all over my legal pads all the time. People thought I was taking such great notes. Little did they know that there were caricatures of them all through my legal pads. But seriously, I've studied art quite extensively. Most recently, about 20 years ago, I got an MFA in painting, Masters of Fine Arts in Painting from the New York Academy of Art. I've studied at the Art Students League, the School of Visual Arts, the Ducre School in Plainfield, New Jersey, just many, many places. I've always loved art, loved paint, loved drawing and painting, and just part of my natural expressions.
Well, I know firsthand from traveling with you and being at JNF events that you do sketch on pads all the time and do portraits of, you know, people and everyone you're looking at. And I will share a little note that a few people had said, like, where is a portrait of me in this tour? And which we know we have many.
I left them out.
Yes. Well, but we all know that if we travel with Barbara, there is a portrait of us, a sketch, I should say.
They're not always complimentary, so I don't always like the subjects to see them.
Another question we have is, there are 4 paintings available through JNF right now. Are any of your other paintings or prints going to be available?
Well, you know, certainly I still have some originals of some of those paintings, and people can contact me personally if they're interested in those originals. Some of them are sold, but some of them I still have. Right now, those are the 4 paintings that I've dedicated to JNF, and they're exclusively available. The prints of those paintings exclusively available through JNF. JNF is really important to me, as you've no doubt realized. So I really, you know, I'm hoping that people will take advantage of this really wonderful opportunity to have some of my art, have a piece of Israel, bring it home with them, and also contribute to a wonderful cause with the tax deductibility. I may in the future, maybe next year, choose a few other paintings and make special limited edition prints of them, and also offer them through JNF. After people have bought all of these 4 paintings, then maybe they'll want some more and have a collection or give gifts. So yes, we may choose a few in the future. Right now, those are the 4 for this year.
Okay, another question we have, which might be a question that JNF answers, or you, where do we see these prints for sale and prices? So I don't know.
Well, I believe that at the end of this program or somewhere in the chat box, there will be a link that you can click that will take you straight to the JNF store, and also an opportunity to take a look at some of the videos that I've made about my process and how I made each painting. Or you can go to jnf.org/store, or you can contact Celine Leeds. And I believe that you'll be getting a follow-up email with a link as well.
And I do now see it in the link to everyone from Melissa Schwartz. There is a link to a JNF store to purchase Barbara's artwork, as well as a link to donate. So if you are so inclined and are not ready to purchase one this evening and still make a donation for being on the bus tour, there is a link for that as well. Another question we have, Barbara, is can we buy the boxed cards and how do we get those?
I do sell them from time to time. If you live near me, come speak to me. If not, it's a bit of a hassle to send them out, but I hope that we will meet at a convention, a JNF conference maybe, and I'll bring them with me. If you want a number of cards and are willing to pay for me to send them, I'd be delighted to send them to you. So you can contact me through JNF, and I will make a significant donation to JNF of all those proceeds as well.
That's where I bought mine, actually, at a JNF conference, now that you just said that, because you had
There
them
you
with
go.
you.
And those cards are reproductions of my paintings. Not all of them, but some of them I've turned into beautiful, huge, huge for cards, but they're great for like bar mitzvah cards or wedding card or just a hello, how are you, or Hanukkah or whatever.
Well, as we saw from the sample, which was a very small sample, obviously, of all of your work, all of your detail and passion that goes into it, really, they are cards that when you send them, I know I've sent them and people love them. So definitely the person who asked should pursue getting some. Anybody else have any questions? I think I have covered them all for now. I'm going to wait a few seconds to see if anybody else pops a question in. But again, thank you everyone for being on this bus with Barbara as our tour guide. It was clearly informative and a lot of history and a lot of happiness. I love that because really your paintings exude happiness.
Well, I will tell you I will share one little story about that wasn't so happy when I had an exhibit a couple of years ago, five or 6 years ago. I had an exhibit in Jerusalem that was hosted by the city of Jerusalem. They have a municipal curator and several lovely galleries throughout the city. And I was really lucky to secure a wonderful solo show in one of them. But then the question was, how do I bring 23 paintings to Israel and back? We managed to pack. I had 23 on the brochure and on the inventory list, but I only was able to pack 22. And between my husband and I, we each took an enormous additional suitcase. It was really a piece of luggage because it was very big, and we packed each of those paintings strategically. I made them in different sizes so they could be nested and stacked in each other. And we brought them there. And then after the exhibit at the city of Jerusalem, their municipal gallery there, the exhibit moved to a small museum in Rehovot called the Minkoff Citrus Orchard Museum, which is a museum for the citrus industry, which is no longer in Rehovot, which happens to be the same town where the Weizmann Institute is located. That real estate is way too valuable these days now for citrus groves, but that used to be the heart of the citrus growing production area in Israel. It's now moved down mostly to hothouses, I think, in the Negev and in the north where it's cooler. But that was quite an experience, taking those paintings to Israel and having them switched from one exhibit to the other and then bringing them back. That was not so easy, but I'm so glad I did it. It was really quite an experience.
Well, and I really do love and appreciate the way you tie your art experience and share the history of Israel with us. So you really are an amazing tour guide.
Thank you.
We do have another question. Are there original artwork pieces to purchase?
There are. That wasn't the point of tonight's program, but I'm happy for you to contact me. And I'd be delighted to talk to you about it. Sure.
Okay, I'm going to share a comment. Totally refreshing and awesome Zoom. So thank you for that comment. We really appreciate it. We
Good.
really tried to, I think, bring a program together that was refreshing and fun. And, you know, I'm glad that everybody enjoyed it. And like I said, you know, Barbara, you were an amazing, awesome tour guide. So
Well,
it was great.
that's good. I love it. And you know what's great about giving a tour in this kind of medium? I don't have to worry about being bus sick or standing with my back to the front of the bus and talking towards the back of the bus. No jostling, no spilt water. It was really quite easy. And packing, gosh, that was a breeze. So there are some advantages to these virtual trips.
And we're wearing lipstick since we're not all
And we're wearing lipstick for the first time in months. Yeah, how nice, how fun.
So at this point, I need to put a little plug in because it's a good segue into the fact that this was very refreshing and Barbara was a great tour guide. But for those of us on the bus today that have not been on a JNF bus tour, definitely look into signing up and doing one of the JNF tours. Those are a week long. So it's 2 hours. Is it 2 hours every night? And then Friday for an hour with your bus to kind of schmooze and pre-Shabbat get together. They're amazing. More history. And obviously they're the Israeli tour guides giving the tour. So that is something to definitely look into. And then I can't end without saying once again that JNF is so much more than just trees. So we really hope that if this is your first Zoom with JNF, that you'll do more and want to learn more about JNF. You can reach out to Celine Leeds, myself, Barbara, who is a wealth of knowledge and history and JNF knowledge. So again, somebody else said, Barbara, that you bring joy and love of Israel and spread it even online.
Okay, thank you. I want to also just end with wishing everyone a healthy and a happy year. And we do hope for everyone's sake, I mean, not just for the sake of tourism and being able to visit and meet together in person soon. We do hope that this period of COVID and isolation and quarantine is over very, very soon. We all get through this in good health and get to see each other again in person very, very soon. So thanks for coming. Wishing everyone a wonderful, wonderful new year ahead. Celine, did you want us to have some closing remarks? I'll give you back your screen. No?
Good. Well, with that being said, for everybody on this bus, I hope to see you on Giving Tuesday at our JNF annual breakfast, which I guess is our first virtual annual breakfast. So, you know, it's going to be a great breakfast, as Celine said earlier. And with that, we say good night. And again, everybody stay healthy and well. And thanks for joining us. Have a good night.
Shalom. Lehitraot. Bye. Nesiya tova. Safe journey.
All right. So good.
Okay, good. Except for
And it wasn't long at all.
no, it wasn't actually. I'm sorry. I cut out some paintings now.
It
was pretty.
shorter than,
It was not even an hour.
It was about 40 minutes, yeah.
the tour, but think about it, because we must have had 10 minutes after the tour just now.
Yeah.
It's
See,
8:20.
if you stay on the bus, guys, you hear all the back end chatter.
Oh, it's still open. Okay. How do we do it? Okay. And I don't know how to stop it.
I have to end it because I'm the host.
Okay.
There you go. Very nice.
Good job. Hi, everybody. I'm seeing some faces finally. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Sandy, Abe, Debbie. I see. Wish I could see everybody. Nice to see everybody. Okay. I don't know how to turn it off. So you're going to end it?
Yeah, I'll end the call.
Hi, Eliza, baby. Hi, Eliza, babe.
Well, that was awesome. Everybody, oh, and there's David.
Hey,
making
Betsy.
his appearance.
All right.
Hello, guys.
Yeah, this is one of the paintings in the background. My husband, Dave. Now we're getting a little home show here. Woo. For the people that stayed on. All right. Here's a little tour around my art-filled
This is
dining
the
room.
bar. Now it's bar time.
Hey, Joel and Bernice. Yeah.
Hey, guys.
Valerie. All right. We see some people here, but you can turn it off now. Okay, everyone. Hope to see you guys in person
Take
soon.
care.
Bye. Bye, Benjamin.
It was very good.
He was listening, yeah.